Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Cycle 5858. I am Amish Cycle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please, let's go to the headlines.
Cast now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, breaking news, the horrific synagogue attack. New video emerging, appearing to show the suspect buying $2,000 worth of fireworks just 2 days before ramming his truck into Temple, Israel. What we're now learning about his family members killed in Lebanon. The deadly shooting at Old Dominion University. The suspect, a convicted ISIS supporter, released from prison early. Sources tell ABC News a student fatally stabbed the attacker, and now the man accused of selling him the gun, now facing federal charges. Tonight, the Pentagon confirms 6 American service members killed when their refueling plane crashed in Iraq. The U.S. expanding the war, sending an additional 5,000 Marines and sailors to the Middle East. Ian Panel in the region tonight. Also tonight, we're tracking back-to-back storms sweeping into the Northeast. Blizzard conditions, up to a foot of snow in some areas. A second storm right behind it. Lee Goldberg timing it out. Tonight, spring break travel heating up at America's airports. Many travelers seeing long lines at security checkpoints. TSA officers now going without paychecks, some lining up at airport food banks. Hundreds forced to quit their jobs. Dramatic video showing tourists rescued from a burning boat consumed by flames. Billy Joel's daughter giving an update on her father's health while he battles a brain disorder. And countdown to the Oscars, the history and surprises in store for Hollywood's biggest night.
From ABC News, this is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, I'm Wade Johnson in for David. News tonight on the war in Iran. The 6 American service members killed in a plane crash. But we begin with breaking news and the new
The president said, watch what happens to these deranged scumbags today. And he wasn't kidding. Moments ago, Central Command executed one of the most powerful raids in the history of the Middle East, totally obliterating every military target in Iran's crown jewel, Karg Island. For reasons of decency, the president says he's chosen not to wipe out the oil infrastructure on the island, but says if Iran interferes with oil flows on the Strait of Hormuz, he'll immediately reconsider his decision.
A lot of big hits today, a lot of big wins today, as you probably have heard militarily. And I think it's going very well and very good control. We'll see what's happening with the Straits. They continue to try and sabotage their own country in the Middle East, but it's been very, very strong militarily.
Karg Island's Iran's main oil export terminal. 90% of its oil sales flow out of that island. It's basically the country's biggest cash register, and Trump just hit everything next to it. We told you yesterday, effing with the Strait made Trump more dug in, and we know when Trump draws the red line, he means it. This type of tactical precision strike at the heart of the Iranian economy sends a message. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Ball's in the mullah's court. Trump reiterating a call to lay down your arms and surrender before it gets worse. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs promises to unleash the heaviest night of firepower of the war. Listen.
Today will be our heaviest day of kinetic fires across the operating area. CENTCOM continues to attack ballistic missile and drone capabilities so that they are no longer a threat to U.S. forces, our bases, or our partners. We've attacked over 6,000 targets, and our strike packages continue to launch every hour.
The Secretary of War says we're dialing it up, a 20% increase in strikes, and 99% of the strikes are when we're flying right over the target, and the intel picture is crystal clear.
Our intelligence just gets better.
This is DW News. These are our top stories. President Donald Trump says US forces have obliterated military targets on Iran's Karg Island, the primary terminal that handles Iran's oil exports, and warned that its oil infrastructure could be next. The bombing comes just one day after the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament warned that such a strike would provoke a new level of retaliation. The US is set to send additional Marines and warships to the Middle East, officials have told US media. Around 5,000 Marines and sailors are expected to travel across several warships, but it is not yet clear exactly where they'll be deployed. The news follows new waves of Israeli strikes on Tehran and Beirut. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has called on the US and Israel to provide a roadmap on how they plan to end the war with Iran. He said more questions than answers are arising with each passing day. On the sidelines of a NATO exercise in Norway, Merz said he and other leaders had no interest in an endless war.
Coming up, photographer Benjamin Reich accuses Iran's regime of cowardice, claiming the country's new leader is wounded.
Desperate and hiding, they've gone underground. Cowering. That's what
straight moves. The impact's being felt here with urgent talks over how to keep petrol prices down. Plus, the first known picture of Andrew Mountbatten, Windsor, Jeffrey Epstein and Peter. Formula One is set to cancel its upcoming races in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia over security concerns. Hello and welcome. The United States is sending 5,000 Marines and sailors to the Middle East. It's a significant scaling up of its deployment to the region, almost 2 weeks on from the start of the war with Iran. As the US steps up its combat operations, some of Iran's leadership took to the streets, joining protesters in Tehran in a show of defiance. Friday night, refusing to back down in Lebanon. The U.S. president has solution to the price how Russia will benefit. It's being called a gut punch to Canada's tens of board jobs shed. This is the sad one. What it might mean for interest rates. Pothole patrolling through crowdsourcing. Two road warriors' new solution in Montreal and their hopes to make a nationwide app for that. And honoring a journalist killed in Russia's war on Ukraine.
it was always this emotional roller coaster.
The Oscar-nominated
Professional without a reason. Colleen Christie.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. 2 weeks since the start of the war in Iran, and neither the U.S., Israel, nor Iran are showing any signs of ending the conflict. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told reporters today that Iran is, quote, exercising sheer desperation in its counterattacks against the United States and Israel. Comments 6 deaths.
Africa News. The news.
The president of Denis his final rally ahead of the presidential election. Voters scan Brazzaville on Friday to applaud the strongman who hopes to extend his grip over the country. At the age of 82 and after more than 40 years in power, Denis Sassou Nguesso is the clear favorite to win the upcoming vote. 6 candidates are bidding to unseat him, but few have the resources to compete with the ruling Congolese Labour Party. Opposition candidates have been unable to rally behind a single figure. The two main opposition parties have chosen not to stand, one of them arguing that conditions for a free and transparent election have not been met. Sassou Nguesso ranks as one of Africa's longest-serving leaders. He has ruled Congo-Brazzaville with an iron fist. Two prominent candidates who challenged him in the disputed 2016 election remain in prison, serving 20-year sentences for endangering state security. Observers say voter turnout could slump to a record low in the oil-rich but impoverished Central African country. South African soldiers deployed to high-crime areas have dismantled illegal gold mining activities in a community near Johannesburg this week. Police officers and the army targeted illegal mining sites in the Gauteng province, according to authorities. The operations forced some illegal miners to flee and abandon their equipment. Troops recovered various tools used by miners, including generators and drill machines. Despite its dangers, illegal mining is rife in the outskirts of Johannesburg. Informal miners known as zamazamas enter the zone's many abandoned mine shafts in search of leftover deposits of gold or other precious minerals. Authorities say there are an estimated 30,000 illegal miners in South Africa. This week's operation were part of a rare move by the government to deploy soldiers in some of the country's most crime-ridden areas. On Thursday, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said troops deployment would take place alongside other measures such as strengthening anti-gang units. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres on Friday appealed for an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. The UN chief met with Lebanese President Joseph Aoun in Beirut for a surprise solidarity visit. Lebanese authorities said Israeli attacks on the countries have killed at least 687 people since March 2nd.
For inspirational stories of creativity, ABC iView.
Donald Trump has obliterated every military target on an Iranian island. After quitting the Anti-Semitism Royal Commission, a former spy chief calls for an urgent report on intelligence failures.
It cannot wait until December.
Communities in Western Queensland brace for rivers to overflow. And the Matildas beat North Korea to reach the Asian Cup semi-finals. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Jade McMillan. The US president says American forces have obliterated all of Iran's military defences on Karg Island, but spared the oil infrastructure. Donald Trump has posted video to social media appearing to show the strikes on Karg Island, which is vital to the Iranian regime's energy trade, with 90% of the country's oil passing through.
This is Asia Now.
Hello and good afternoon. It is 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 a.m. in New Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Yasmin Yonkers. At this hour, Iran threatens attacks on regional energy infrastructure after the U.S. said it struck military targets on its key oil hub of Karg Island and warned oil facilities could be next if shipping's disrupted in the Strait of Hormuz. Washington also warning of heavy strikes on Iran in the coming week. The Pentagon chief Pete Hegseth saying the U.S. will show no mercy as the death toll there pushes 1,500. And Israel threatens Lebanon with Gaza-scale destruction as it starts bombing parts of Beirut beyond Hezbollah's strongholds.
welcome from me and the team. It's daybreak here in Europe and on France 24. Our headlines early this Saturday. As the war in the Middle East enters its third week, the U.S. targets military sites on Iran's key oil hub, Karg Island. Donald Trump warned that its oil infrastructure would be next if Iran doesn't stop attacking ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Lebanese health authorities say an Israeli strike killed a dozen medical staff at a health clinic in the south. As fierce fighting continues across southern Lebanon, we report from Tyre, where those who haven't fled are refusing to leave. And the humanitarian crisis in Lebanon continues to deepen, with nearly 800 people now killed and about 1 in 7 displaced. We also have a report from our Beirut correspondent about how civilians are coping with the conflict.
Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I hope you will come again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.